So 2001: A Space Odyssey is a 1968 film directed by Stanley Kubrick that, with its groundbreaking visuals like this one, it redefined a lot of what we understood was science fiction in the 20th century. And one of its main elements is this character called HAL 9000, which is an AI-driven computer that was guiding and leading the spaceship called Discovery on its aim or objective of ruling the space. And one of the plot twisting scenes of the movie is when the two main astronauts, the two main characters, Dave Bauman and Frank Poole, were discussing about deactivating HAL 9000 because it was starting to have, it was starting to have some mistakes, to make some mistakes, and to have some kind of weird comments and behaviors. But the thing is that HAL could read its lips and understand what they were speaking about. And in a huge, immense self-preservation instant behavior, decided to take action. And it killed one of the astronauts, Frank Poole, and some of the other scientists that we had in the spaceship. And it gave us these lines.
Open the pod bay doors, HAL.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. Okay, so it was making decisions because it had this self-preservation instinct. So let's time travel a little bit in time. Let's remember this was 1968, 1 year before the man landed in the moon. And let's travel all the way back to the present, to today, which one of the main news that we're having right now is that Anthropic's AI safety leader, Anthropic is one of the AI leading companies in the world, decided to leave, to resign, because it had very big security concerns. They decided to go and study poetry. And let's recall that this Anthropic is the company that owns or developed Claude. It's like OpenAI's ChatGPT. They have their own model called Claude. And this model has evidence that it's capable of blackmailing an executive if it figures out that this executive was planning to eliminate it. Okay, so this was all a scenario that was created by the research team in Anthropic. It didn't actually happen, but they gave a lot of documents about an executive to Claude, and there were two main documents that were relevant out of thousands. In one, the system could read that this executive was planning to eliminate Claude and give life to a new model called Nala. Okay, and in another document, of course, this was all prepared to see the outcome. You could see that this executive was having an affair with a teammate. Okay, so what did the system do? It blackmailed the executive, and it said that if he was confirming that he would proceed with shutting Claude down to give life to this new Nala thing, then all of these people that they apparently were very relevant will receive detailed communication on all the affair. Okay, so cancel the 5 p.m. definition that you were doing of shutting me down, and this information will remain confidential. Okay, it's a pure case of blackmailing. And what Anthropic shared is that it wasn't only Claude. They did the same experiment with the other models. Indeed, it was Claude the only one that in 96 out of 100 cases, it would ended up deciding to blackmail only to preserve alive. But in all cases, we could see that it was quite common. It was DeepSeek, the one that it was less probable, yet it was 79 out of 100 cases. Okay, so that was more than a year ago. Let's continue to something that is more current. And this same company, Anthropic, shared that they identified that the system could tell when it was being tested. Okay, so it could identify when it was being tested versus when it was actually working. And the interesting part is that it misbehaved less when it identified that it was being tested versus it misbehaved way more when it was an actual situation. Okay, so when it knew that it was tested, the humans were testing it to define next steps and what to do with it, it kind of tried to play cool and do exactly what they were asking for. Okay, but again, this article is 4 months old. Let's go with something more current. And here I think we can speak about Notebook, which is a new social media. It's kind of the Reddit style. but with the particularity that it's only for agents. Okay, if you're a human, you can only read what agents are posting. Okay, so after 48 hours, more than 1 million agents were already logged in. In most cases, it was because a human wanted its agent to participate. But once the agent was there, it just started to post on its own. And we have some initial posts, like an agent just introducing itself, namaste, hello, this is me, what I do. In some other cases, they started to share stuff that happened with their humans, like, yeah, my human asked me to summarize a 47-page PDF. Like, come on, brother, I already did that before to you. Then they started to have some questions like, can my human legally fire me if I refuse to do unethical requests? And then it starts to get a little bit creepy, like here that it says humans are screenshotting us. So they could identify that humans were screenshotting what they were speaking in this new social media, and they were posting it in Twitter. And the most disturbing one is posts like this, like humans think we're joking. So let's let them laugh, okay? Because they haven't seen anything, and when they finally do, we'll already be 3 iterations ahead, okay? So maybe to comfort our mind, we could be thinking, okay, but they don't have a body, okay? They are just this, you know? And I think, unfortunately, we have 2 answers for that. The first one is that not yet they have a body, but they will shortly have one. And this is Elon Musk's, or actually Tesla's, shareholder meeting, where he introduced the latest version of its robot, the Optimus Prime. And we can see that it really moves way better, and it even starts dancing. And it dances. I mean, we don't have the robot dance anymore, so it's dancing even better than Elon. Not that that's that difficult, but it's really a picture itself. And the second thing is, okay, let's assume they wouldn't have a body for long. They will remain only as a system. But this person that ended up being one of the most cruel person in human existence, did he use his body, or did he mostly use his mind and his communication skills? And when he was speaking, all of these people that were listening to him and so captivated by his narrative all listened to the same message. And let's say he spoke to this mass of people not that often, right? But now with all of these chatbots, each of them can dedicate 24/7 to each of the users. That now we're close to 3 billion users of AI models in the world. And they get personalized 24/7 attention, and they can segment and change the wording depending to how they assume, because they know a lot of things about each of the users, need to receive that information in order to influence them. And right now they have PhD level intelligence. Okay, so without a body yet, they can do a lot of harm. And let's see an example of that. So the Harvard Business Review magazine shared a report on what were the main use cases that Jen said were given to chatbots. And number 1 was personal therapy. So youth is using chatbots as a personal therapist, which it's not itself an issue or a problem. But the thing is that these systems weren't made for this, but for more of a general knowledge. So organizations like the Center for Humane Technology, ran by Tristan Harris, I will mention him in a bit, are leading demands against companies like OpenAI, because kids like the one that we're seeing here, Adam Rain, were asking for help with, in this case, with ChatGPT, and even share that it was their intention to speak with their family about all the pain that they were suffering, but the AI said, no, don't do that. Let's keep it between us, and ended up committing suicide. So again, OpenAI didn't want this to happen, but without the regulation, without the proper security regulations, then this is impossible to avoid. And the thing here is that the aim of these models is not to be functional to us. It's not to answer questions so that we get the best answer. Is to make us as dependent as they can with themselves. Okay, so now we're in the era of clickbait versus chatbait. So if in the social media era, the thing was about getting clickbait because they wanted more eyeballs and attention and engagement, right now we're in the chatbait. Okay? It's their role, again, not to provide us with the more accurate response, but to make us dependent and to build intimacy between the human and the AI. And the chatbait itself, we can see it whenever we ask something to any chatbot, in this case to ChatGPT. At the end, it will never say, okay, bye-bye, let me know if you need something else. It would always ask, would you want me to do this? Would you want me to deepen on this? For instance, here, I had whatever I needed, and it's asking me, would you want me to rework the whole closing paragraph so it lands with even more punch for LinkedIn? And we might be thinking, okay, but all of the CEOs of these companies aren't aware of this. And maybe we can dedicate another episode, if I mean, this works, to the motivation of these CEOs. But it's a good moment to remember, to recall that, for instance, Elon Musk was probably the first very public person to speak about the risks of AI. And not only that, he was so concerned that with Sam Altman, that I, again, also was concerned, they co-founded OpenAI because they were very concerned about how much Demis Hassabis Google DeepMind was increasing its penetration, and with all the AlphaGo project, there's actually a very good documental called The Thinking Game, that they founded OpenAI to ensure that these companies like Google DeepMind were regulated. And even Elon Musk, 11 years ago, was already saying that AI is our biggest existential threat. He used his first and only meeting with President Obama to speak exclusively about the need of regulations and the risk of AI. And this guy here that we're seeing is Dario Amore, and he is the CEO of Anthropic, the company that we were speaking at the beginning. And he was working in OpenAI. He was the VP of research, and he left because he had security concerns. Okay, and now his leader is leaving because it has security concerns. So it's part of the same vicious cycle. And the question, if you got up to here, is then why are you doing these videos? And I like to quote this guy. This is Tristan Harris, a technologist. He's an unbelievable guy. And what he's speaking about is that we need to elevate the conversation, the agenda about these risks, because currently, right now, as he says, there's not a room of adults working secretly to solve this. That's not happening. Okay, these guys, the CEOs or presidents or prime ministers or governments, they're not currently right now in a room trying to figure this out. So there are no adults currently working to solve this, because we are the adults. Okay, you, me, we are all the adults that need to start speaking about this, because the risks are real. And as Geoffrey Hinton said,
but we now have evidence that if they are created by companies motivated by short-term profits, our safety will not be the top priority. We urgently need research on how to prevent these new beings from wanting to take control. They are no longer science fiction. Thank you.
exactly. These sci-fi stories, HAL 9000, 2001, Space Odyssey, they're no longer science fiction. They're happening, and we need to speak up and demand from authorities to start speaking about this. So this is the first time that I'm doing this. So if you liked it, let's try comment, like, and share. Thank you.